By now, a lot of people have been noticing that this whole COVID-19 has been a distortion of our reality to create the idea that we are in an actual pandemic when we're not. This is all inflated numbers and manipulated statistics to show something that we're actually not suffering with. And official sources have been talking about this already, which is kind of interesting now. But the question that looms is, why did they create this, and who benefits from doing these lockdowns and everything else? A lot of speculation is going out there, and I have my own opinions. I think some of them are very strong in the community. But today, I want to talk about something different, or related to it, which is a document I received a couple of weeks ago by Kevin Galilei. He compiled over 100 sources of different information and news that are out there that show that this whole thing with the COVID-19 and the responses from the authorities are actually wrong, or they are just, like I said, a distortion of our reality. So I want to go through all of them, but I'm going to do 10 at a time, and today is the first video where I'll talk about the first 10 that I have for you. So let's get started. All right, so let's start with the first source, and this is a research that was done I think in February, published in March, and it shows that the overall fatality rate is between 0.04 and 0.12. Now, even if this study was done a month or a couple of months ago, it still shows right now that the mortality rate is very, very low, and those are statistics that are already out there. So again, this was done a couple of months ago, but the consistency stays, so nothing has changed from there. And again, the important part is the mortality rate that shows here, and in other studies that have been coming out, is very, very low, like extremely low compared to a lot of other things. And that's why you see so many memes of people talking about other more important and deadly things out there. Let's go to the next one, and I think this one shows a different angle of the same thing. This is comparing the amount of people that die in Europe every year, and it seems to be the same one as every other year. As you can see in the graph here, all those spikes belong to the same time of the year: 2017, 18, 19, and 2020. This statistics show in this case that is the same one as usual, and it's actually even a little bit lower than other years. So mortality rate, once again, is it's not the case here, and that just shows in every country. And you can say that maybe, you know, by imposing the quarantine and all this stuff, the lockdowns, they prevented the possible deaths. No, not really, because apparently a lot of people were contagious, and they spread the disease. So even if you argue that, the next point is going to definitely shut this idea down, and is Japan. Japan didn't go in lockdown, and believe it or not, they haven't been having any issues with the coronavirus. So what's the point? They're not expecting anything out of the ordinary. People are just going by without any problems, and like I said, they didn't go in lockdown. So COVID-19 in Japan, apparently non-existent. Next one, and I think is actually really funny, is that the Swiss government actually reacted like this was going to be a dramatic thing, and it was actually, they said that next to Italy, the part that is next to Italy was going to be, and it actually was like a state of emergency. And the doctors were interviewed there, and they said like, well, no, nothing, you know, like we have some spare room, you know, we still have a lot of beds available, and the situation is not what it's claimed. So they were expecting a lot, and they didn't get anything. So again, it just shows the government trying to instill the fear and play the agenda as opposed to the reality. But these things are not shown, unfortunately. What we have next is something that's also baffling, that it's not being presented. But then again, you know, it's statistics that people don't know, and it's not presented to them. And it's that the mortality rate from a virological standpoint is kind of it's confusing, because you would expect a virus to affect everybody equally, and like we know, children are not being affected that much. Adults somehow, and older people are apparently being affected by it a lot. This statistic right here shows that life expectancy actually corresponds with the amount of people that are dying, because it seems to be the same as older people who are prone to dying more than children, and it's the same rate. So once again, it's just another nail in the coffin for COVID-19 and this whole pandemic. Next is the test itself, and this one is it's something that has been said a lot, and I just don't understand why this is being pushed so much. Well, possibly the people are making the test, they're making a lot of money, but think about it this way. Apparently there's an 80% false positives in these tests, and it says here that this test was not done, it was for research only, not for diagnostic procedures. So the test that they're using to diagnose is not even, it wasn't even created for diagnosis. So no wonder why we have all this false positives, and of course this feeds the whole fear mongering agenda. So it's just one other thing to show that people are now becoming more aware, and well, it's just another one. Then we have the Professor Sukarit Bhakti, and I probably butcher his name, so forgive me for that. But he's been talking about the same thing, that this is all blown up, out of proportions, and this does not have the merit that the media is showing, and he's very much against this measures, and he calls them self-destructive and destructive and grotesque and useless, all these measures that we have been imposed. And there are other things that he says in this letter to Chancellor Dr. Angela Merkel, and he says there are other things that are more important to be worried about than the COVID-19, because it's not what it is. So another person who has credibility, who is a professor, and actually he's an expert in medical microbiology. So I mean, there's some weight to it, and people like him are dismissed, and of course they are they're just called conspiracy theorists, or he's not a conspiracy theorist, but they will call them names just to discredit him, basically, and just keep up with the fear porn. Then this is also something that supports this idea, of course, because just another news, 99% of those who died of the virus has had other illnesses. So this is just the truth. The reality is that people who have been dying, and I talk about this in one of my videos, how Eddie Large, a comedian in Britain, he was diagnosed with COVID-19 before dying of a heart attack, yet all the news inflate the idea that he died after being tested positive for COVID-19. Makes no sense. Why would you do that? Just to create more fear, right? So again, the people in Italy, it's been claimed that they have been dying from normal. So they're basically taking people who are dying, which is normal. It's not a good thing. I mean, we've known all our lives that it sucks to die, and people dying, but they're claiming it's COVID-19. I think that's even darker to be doing. So once again, another thing that's been complain a lot, and the reason why we created this lockdowns in US and the UK is the stupid model that they created, of course, in the London's Imperial College, that, if you don't know, it's also funded by guess who? Bill Gates. Of course, if not the whole college, there is a research part of the college that is funded by him, and people know this already. Well, they claim that over 250,000 or even 500,000 people in the UK alone were going to die, and between the UK and US, millions were going to die. And right now they've been backtracking to that and saying like, well, no, it's not what we thought it was going to be, But we created lockdowns anyways because our stupid computer models decided that was going to be the case. We're not even close to the first 100,000 of people dying from COVID-19, as far as I know, unless they have been inflated. And again, a lot of people are not dying from COVID-19. They're just being tested before they die, just to show that they died after being tested positive for COVID-19 and create this fear porn. What do we have next? This is a French study that was done, and it was called SARS-CoV-2, which is COVID-19 versus fear versus data. And it shows that it's no different than other coronaviruses. So again, it's just showing that the reality is not par with the media portraying this idea that COVID-19 is this deadly disease. And that's all people are fearing. All these measures that we have are ridiculous and not really part of what we should be doing with this stupid virus that is not even existent, in my opinion. But anyhow, the last one that I'm going to talk about today, and I have 90 more that I'll go through in different videos, is that the UK already removed, apparently, the COVID-19 from the official list of high consequences infectious disease. And that's saying a lot because, I mean, if they removed it already, then why are they still, in lockdown? Why are these measurements, still in place? And this begs, the question that we need to ask: why is this being maintained? What is the purpose of it? And we have many conspiracy theories already because we have no other alternative. Otherwise, we believe the media for whatever they want to say, and it's just ridiculous at this point. So, I mean, information like this is out there, and there is either the people like us who are looking at it, analyzing it, and knowing that the reality is not what they're showing, and we need to find answers. And there's people who are feeding from the media, from mainstream media, just creating this whole mind pandemic, which is, to me, the biggest problem. Because to me, it doesn't really matter what we do, what we think. If we think differently, it's all okay. But when we create one idea in our collective consciousness and we upload it there, we are sending and uploading negative emotions and energy up into the field of the earth, and this is just creating more issues on people. However, because I like to leave a positive message at the end of my videos, there is one thing that is very important. All the negativity that we're feeling out there, we can transmute it as spiritual beings, and this is the most amazing and beautiful thing we have to do right now. All that negativity, we can transmute it because we who are aware and we have an expanded consciousness, we have the power to create that negativity and transform it into something positive. A lot of people are going through the dark night of the soul, and this is a very important time because that energy is available there. And like my friend Sema Simone would say, we have to embrace that darkness and feel it inside, and then we transmute it into something beautiful. It's the negative side, the female energy that is destructive, and the male energy that creates it and builds something new. So these are the polarities of the universe. I talk about this a lot, and I think that's the beautiful message that we have. We who have awareness can take that negative inside us and transmute it into something positive and beautiful. And I'm doing my part in this. I hope this makes sense, and I'll see you in the next video where I'll cover the other next 10 topics that this guy, Kevin Galilei, compiled in one beautiful PDF, and I'll see you in the next one.